Okay, so I think we can start. Hello, everyone. My name is Baptiste Saint-André. I'm part of the Customer Solution Adoption team for the SAP Intelligent RPA project. And today we will see how we can use Intelligent RPA to retrieve some information about orders. Just before starting, so Kiru is with me today, and right now he shared with you the link to a document which will help you to follow or at least do the same thing as I will do in front of you. So it's a PDF document with all steps described. So basically, I will just show you in live how we can create a bot which retrieves information about orders. So just before starting, I know that some of you had some issues during the installation of the project. If you still have some issues, don't hesitate to tell us right now. We can take 5 minutes at the beginning to be sure that everyone has access to a tenant and to the cloud factory. So if you still have some troubles, don't hesitate to raise your hands or put a message in the chat so that we will be able to unmute you and we will be able to share your screen if needed. Okay, I don't see some hands. I don't see message in the chat, so I guess everything is good. So we will be able to start. So let me show you the application that we will use today. So the application is called Browse Orders, and it displays a list of orders with their numbers, some information about the date, the status of the delivery, and many more information. For the use case of this session, we will use this application to retrieve this order number and this status, so that we will be able to know which orders is late, which order is in time, etc., etc. So we'll build a bot which retrieves this information automatically, so that you just need to run the bot, and finally you will have an Excel file containing all these informations. So we can start right now. You can do it, do the same bot during the presentation. I will try to be clear in my explanations and to not go too quickly, so that you will be able to do the same on your side. So here you have the cloud factory. So this is my tenant. I think you have a different tenant, but it doesn't matter. You just need to have this cloud factory. And in the documentation to install this project, we put the rights. So here my role is RPA officer. So to be able to have full access to the cloud factory and its features, it's better to have this role. For this demo, I set automatically my agents, for my agent groups. So this is mine, BSA. Here I have a little architecture, and I created also my environment, so Baptiste Env, where I put my agents. So everything has been configured correctly. So this configuration will be used to deploy our bots, but also to test our bots during some debug sessions, for example. So you should have the same. If it's not the case, you will be able to do it later. I mean, we can build the bot without these environments and agents. The only thing is that you will not be able to test it. So after the presentation, if you want to test your bot, don't forget to add your agents inside an environment. Okay, so if we go to the projects tab, we see all our projects. On the right, we have this new project button. And if we click on it, we will have this new pop-up where we need to put a name for our project. So here I can use all those management, for example. I can here put a description. For example, but to retrieve information about orders. And then once these two fields have been set, I can click on the Create button. And by clicking on this Create button, I have a new tab, which is the Cloud Studio. So the Cloud Studio is the components which let us to build our automations. We have 3 different components in SAP Intelligent RPA. We have this Cloud Factory, which let us orchestrate, monitor, and deploy our bots. We have this Cloud Studio, which let us build our bots. And then we have the desktop agents here, which let us to run bots that have been created with the Cloud Studio. So for now, we will work with the Cloud Studio in order to build our bots. So the first thing to do is to capture the application. So like I said previously, we need to navigate through this application to retrieve information. So the first thing to do is to capture this application to tell our bot that we need to use this one. So I have the application in a separate window as my Cloud Studio, so that this window will be recognized. So on the Cloud Studio, I can click on the Create button. I have several options. So today we will use application, automations, project pane, but we have also alerts, data types, process, user task. So several artifacts that let you build your bots. So for now, we need to create a new application. So I can select application. And inside the Cloud Studio, I can see that I have this new tab. And after the loading, my screens that are available in my computer will be displayed in this list. It's a little bit long here. Just need to figure out why. Okay, let's test again. Application. Yep. And here I have the list of my applications. So all these applications are open on my system. I can filter by technology. So for example, if I want to capture a SAP GUI application, I can do it. I can click on web if I want to filter by web technologies. So here, because I want to capture websites, I can just filter with the web connector. The list is updated and I can see all web pages that are opened on my system. If I click on the first one, browse orders, I can see on the middle the preview of the screen. So basically, it's just a preview of my application. And on the right, I have some information to set for this particular page and application. So the first field is the application name. So browse orders. Here I can keep it like this. And we have also the application identifier. So the application identifier is updated automatically based on what you put here. For example, if I remove the S, the identifier is updated. And I can also, if I want, put a custom application identifier. But for now, browse orders is okay. We can keep this application name. And the next fields are dedicated for the screen. So when we capture an application, we also capture a first page. So the page which is displayed here. So I also need to give a screen name, a screen identifier. So just to be clear on what is the application, what is the screen, the page, I will just rename here to home screen. I can see that the screen identifier is also updated automatically. Here I have some capture options. So these capture options can be used when you have how to say, a big application with a lot of elements. Sometimes the capture can be very long. So here I can limit, I have some options to limit the depth of the tree captured or limit the siblings. And I can also limit the height of my capture. For this application, it's okay. We can use default parameters here. So I can just hide these capture options. And everything is set correctly. I can click on the capture button. So when I click on capture button, automatically SDK packages are added. The application is saved. And after a few seconds, I have this new view, which represents the application that I captured. So on the left, we have the panel with all screens that I have captured. So here I just captured the home screen. At the bottom, we will have the declare elements panel. We will see right after how this panel is filled. On the middle, we have the preview of the page. We can click directly on elements to declare them. We have also the tree view where we see the structure of our web page. So it's where we can limit the depth. So when we limit the depth, in fact, we just limit the number of imbrication like this. And we have also the both view, which can be very useful. So for example, here, if I click on the search bar, I can see directly that the element is selected on the screen on the tree. And on the right, I have the element information panel related to the component that I selected. If I don't select, okay, I will just go back to screen. If I don't select any components, on the right, I will have the screen information panel. So here I can see my name, the name of my screen, its identifier, the framework used. So this web application has been made using the SAP UI5 framework. I have the criteria section, and this section is quite important. Criteria are used to detect the page. So for example, here, we have the title and the mainframe data set as a criteria for this page. But sometimes, maybe I need to use the URL. So I just need to click on a captured data. And when I click on it, it automatically added to the criteria section. So basically, when the agent will see a page opened with the title equals to browse orders and the mainframe parameter set to true, it will automatically say that, okay, this page is related to home screen. So here I can keep the title, I can keep the mainframe is true, and I will just check the criteria for the application too. So if I click on browse orders, on the right, the panel is updated and I see the same section, criteria. Here for the application, for web application at least, we used to use the domain as a criteria. I can also change, so for example, I can put the URL, but for the application, if we put the URL, the application will be recognized only if the URL is this one. But an application can contain several pages. So for example, on my application, if I click on an order, I have this second page. This second page will not be recognized because the URL changed and my application used the URL. So I can remove the URL criteria and just keep the domain. So that each time I have an application on my computer with this domain name, the agent will recognize the application by browse orders applications, the one that I captured. Okay, so these verifications have been done. So criteria on browse orders is the domain, criteria for the home screen are the title, and the mainframe is true. So now it's time to declare our elements. So the declaration of elements is the first part when we want to interact with an application. So for example, if I want my bot to interact with this label, this text, I need to declare it to tell the bot that at some time I will need to use this text. So for today, we can just declare the order number here, and on the right, the status. Okay, I'm just saying that maybe I need to zoom. Okay, I think it will be okay like this. Just tell me in the chat if it's okay. So here we need to interact with the order number. So using the both view, for example, I can search for my elements. So here, for example, I want to interact with all numbers. So for example, I can search for the string order 7991. And then I hit enter. When I hit the enter key, I can see that the element is highlighted on the screen preview and also highlighted in the tree view. So basically I can click on it. So when I click on it, it's also selected on the preview. I need to give a name to my element. So it's not order 7991, but it will be a more generic name. So for example, order reference. So for the identifier of my element, it's the same thing as the identifier for the application and for the page. It's updated automatically regarding this name. And it's time to set some criteria to my elements. So if I scroll down in my element information panel, I can see that the text has been set as a criteria for my application. But in fact, it's not what I want, because only this order will be recognized, because only this order has the number 7991. So I can remove this text criteria. So here in red, I can see all span elements, because here I didn't put any criteria. For the criteria here, I will use the class elements, because all my orders reference here have the same class. So in the capture data section, I can click on the class here. And once it's done, the class element is automatically put inside criteria section. Here, we still have this information element cannot be uniquely identified. So for now, it's normal, because like I said, all orders reference have this class. But for now, my element is well declared. So I can click on the declare element. And by doing this, on the left, we can see all elements, all orders reference with a red border. So this red border just tells me that several elements have been recognized for this particular element. It's normal, because we have set the class. And in fact, we want to retrieve all these order numbers. So here on the left, on the declare elements section, I have this option, the first button, which is called Either Collection. And once I click on it, I can see that all my elements are now in green. So what this button does? This button is just telling the studio that this element is not one element, but a collection of several elements. So this element is not referring to one order numbers, but it refers to all orders numbers detected and all span detected with this class. So here it's in green, the element is uniquely identified. So I can click on Save button. Okay, I'm just saying two questions. I will just check sometimes to see if it's a blocking question or not. So for now, it seems to be okay, and I will answer right after the presentation. Okay, so now the project is saved, and I can continue to declare my elements. So now we need to use, so here, if I scroll on the right, we see this status in time, urgent, and if I scroll down, it's here. I can see the too late, the last order. So we need also to capture these elements, because we need to interact with it. So in the same, using the same way, I can click on the search button here. I have the fields. So here, basically, I can search for the in time string. I hit enter. And here I can see all in time status highlighted. So I will take one. So the first one, the name is set to in time, but in fact, we don't want, we will just call it order status, for example. And the criteria is set to in time. But we don't want only in time items. We need all items, in time, urgent, or too late. So I can remove this one and use also the class. So in captured data section, if I click on the class, I can see some span in red here. And this span have the same class here. So here, everything is set correctly. I can click on declare elements, even if I have this element cannot be uniquely identified. And once I clicked on it, I have also this red border around the status, around all status. So not only in time status, but also urgent status and below too late status. And I think you know what we need to do. It's just to use the is a collection. So once I click on it, all status are now in green. And in the tree, I can also see all other status. So the first one, the second one, third one, etc., etc. So now if I go back to screen, we try to unzoom. Now I have all elements that I will use during my automation. So the first element is the order reference here on the left. And on the right, I have all my order status. Everything seems to be okay. So I will save my application. And just before begin my automation, I can test all these declarations. To do this, I just need to click on the test application button. And here I need to set an environment. It's why at the beginning I said that you need an environment to test. So here I select my environment. And then I click on the test button. So when I do this, a package is created based on this project. The package is downloaded by my agent. So it's downloaded locally. And then we will have a new window called Application Tester. So it's why here it's launching Application Tester. So it just needs to wait a few seconds and that's it. The current application is being tested using the application tester. So a new page appeared on my computer and it's the application tester. So to use the application tester, I need to open the application that I want to test. So here it's the browse order application. And if I open the application tester, we can see here that the name is in black. And here I don't have a question mark. So this information just inform me that this application browse orders is well detected on my computer. So if I expand this one, I have my home screen in green. So I know that the page is well detected. Otherwise, the name will be in gray. And here I have the show details button. So I can click on it. And at the bottom, I have this new view, declared elements, with my two elements. So here, for example, for the order status, we can see that we have 10 elements. And for the order reference, we also have 10 elements. And when I clicked on it, you saw that all order reference have been highlighted in red. And I can do the same for the order status on the right here. So when I click on them, a red border is around the item. and I can see in time, urgent, in time too late, and two last orders which are in time. So using the application tester, I confirmed that I'm able to retrieve these informations. I confirmed that my criteria for the application and for the page have been well set, and my two elements have been declared correctly. Okay. So just, I see the question. If you have a question mark here, it's because the application is not opened. So you need to verify that the application is opened and that you set the right criteria. So if I go back here, I can click on stop. So automatically it closes the application tester. And now I can start to create my automation. So to do this, previously I hide the left panel by clicking on this button. So now I need to use it. So I open this panel and I need to create an automation. So I can click on the create button, then automation. Here, a new pop-up is asking me the agent version installed on my computer. So the agent version, here, if I open this select field, I can see several version numbers. So here I have this local label because the Cloud Studio automatically detected that I have the 2.0.10 version installed on my computer. And it's the case. Actually, I have this version, so I can click on it and then click on confirm. I have this new pop-up to give a name to my automation. So the name will be, for example, collect orders. Identifier is set automatically. You can put a description. So for example, automation to collect orders reference and orders status. And I have also at the end this button which tell me if I can run the automation or if this automation will be run by another automation. So for example, sometimes you will have some projects with a lot of automations, and some automations can be called, or can be executed only by other automations, because sometimes you will have an automation which require some inputs parameters. So for these kinds of automations, you can just enable this option. Today, we will have only one automation, so we need to be able to run it. So I can disable this option. And once it's done, I can click on create button. Once I clicked on the create button, I will have a new view. I will just hide this left panel. And this new view is the canvas where I can create my automation. So basically, I have a start node, end node, which is the start and the end of my automation. And between these two nodes, I can add all activities that are needed for my automation. So the first thing to do is to create a new Excel file, because the aim of my application, let me just open it again, is to retrieve this number and then retrieve this status and set this information inside an Excel file. So if I go back to the Cloud Studio, the first thing to do is to create this instance, this Excel file. So to do this, if I go here in activities, if I scroll down, I can see all activities that are available in the Cloud Studio. And if I continue to scroll, I can also see applications related to the Excel library. So here, for example, I can see that, for example, all activities regarding the cryptography are inside the IRPA core library dependency. And I can see here also that I have all IRPA Excel dependency. So I can access all activities which are available inside this dependency. So the first activity to use is open Excel instance. So I can basically drag it and drop it on my workflow. So here I can see this blue border, and once I see it, I can just drop it. So when we work with Excel, open Excel instance is the first activity to use. Using this activity, we are just telling our bots that we will need a new Excel session, if I can say, a new Excel instance, so that our bots will be able to use all activities and interact with the Excel software. The second activity that we want to use is add workbook. So add workbook, I can drag it and I can drop it just under the open Excel instance. Add workbook is just an activity to add a new Excel sheet. Not Excel sheet, but Excel file. So for example, here, if I open Excel, we can imagine that the workbook is here. So a workbook is just a file which can contain several sheets. So this is a workbook. Save it. And here, because we don't have an existing Excel file, I can directly add the add workbook. Then we can start to write inside our Excel file. So to do this, so we can search for the set values activity. Can also directly type the activity here. So set values, and when I search for this activity, I found these set values cells from IRPA Excel, and this is the activity I want to use. So I can drag it, drop it under the second activity, and the first thing that I can see is this red corner. This red corner just tells me that there are some parameters for this activity that are missing. If I hover this red border, I can see the tooltip missing parameter. So I can click on it, and on the right, yeah, in fact, I see that this activity needs two parameters, the range definition and the values. It's normal because, in fact, this activity set values is used to insert some text inside our Excel file. And to insert a value, we need the range definition. So basically the cell where we want to put the value and the actual value we want to put. So the first activity the first set, will be very simple. We just need to go to the first cell, which is A1. And I need to set also a value. So here, this activity, I will use this activity just to add a header on my file. So here the header name will be, for example, orders lists. And once I validated this value, I can see that the red corner has disappeared. One remark for these fields. So most of the time, activities need some parameter. And when I click on the field and I enter here, for example, we said A1, I can see here in this menu that I have two choices. I have the choice of a string, and I also have A1 with, A1 between quotes, sorry, so the string A1. And here I have the A1, but without quotes, without double quotes, just a plus icon here. This second option is used when you need to create a new variable. But here, I don't want to create a new variable called A1. I just need to use the string A1. So basically, I can just click on it. To be sure that it has been well selected, so to be sure that, for example, I selected the string and not the variable, I can click on the button on the right. And with the tooltip, we can see that this button opens the expression editor. And the expression editor, with it, we can put more complex expressions. We can put variables, computations, etc., etc. And here, I just wanted to verify that it's the A1 string, and I can see these quotes. So everything seems to be okay. Here, one last thing on this activity, we will use this activity set values cells a lot of time on inside our automations, because we need to set several values in the Excel file. So just to be more clear, I will just rename the step name, and I can, for example, call it set main header. And that's it here. My activity is now set main order, header, sorry. Now I will need to set two more headers. One header for the order reference and another one for the order status. So here I can use the same activity, set values. So I can drag and drop it under the last activity. Some parameters need to be set, so I can click on it. So the range definition, the column will be A, but the line will be the next line, the second line, so I can put 2. I select the string A2. And in values, it's just a header, so I can put order reference. I select the string. I don't have more choice just because of this space. A variable name can't contain any space. So it's why when I have some space in my field, the Cloud Studio detects automatically this string as a string and not a variable name. Great. I will maybe just rename also this step name to, for example, set order reference header. Great. And now I need another one, another set values activity, so I can drag and drop it under the last one. Here, I still have some parameters to set. So here, this activity will set the header for the order status. So basically, the range definition will be the next column, because I want to have a column with all order reference, and the next column will be all order status. So the next column is B, the line is not 1 because it's the line of our main header. It will be 2, which is the same line as our order reference header. So here I can put B2. I click on it to validate. Here the value is just a string, so I can put also order status. I click on the order status string to validate it, and everything seems to be set correctly. Just need to change this name. So here it will be the order. So set order status header. And that's it. I can save it. So what will happen? Basically, if I open an Excel file, for now, we just set some headers to have a pretty file, if I can say. So for example, in A1, we put, I don't remember, orders lists. So the bot actually does this, order lists. Then in A2, it will be orders reference. I think it was like this. And in B2, sorry. So in B1, we don't put anything, but in B2, we set order status. So actually, our bot is doing this. And here I will have order reference, and on the right, the corresponding status. Great. So now we just set this header. And we have also several activities with the Excel dependency. So for example, we have the format activity. And we will use this activity to add some colors to our Excel file. So for example, here, I can select the format background color. I can drag and drop it at the end of my workflow. So same thing here. I have this red corner. So I can click on the activity. And I can see that I need a range definition and a color to apply. So the range definition will be A1 until B2. Because I want all cells from A1 to B2 being the color I set here. So basically, if I open again my Excel file, if I take A1 until B2, it will be these 4 cells with the particular color. So here I have the second options to set, color to apply. I can click on it. And here I can see a list of colors. Can choose color. Here I choose light turquoise, but you can change, of course, if you want. So my Excel file is now well defined. So basically here, the set main header, the set order reference header, the set order status header, and the last activity, the format background color. Now, before putting values inside the Excel file, we need to retrieve these values. And to retrieve these values, we captured an application. So here on the right, in the automation information panel, I can remove the search string. I can here hide all activities. And I can see the second option, which is screens. And if I expand the screens, I see my browser orders applications with my home screen page. And it's with this application that I want to interact. So I can basically drag this home screen and drop it under the last activity. So it's not an activity itself, but we will need it to interact with our page. So here, if I click on it, I have this button, Define Screen Activities. When I click on it, it will open the preview of my application. To hide this preview, you can basically click on an empty part of the canvas. And to open it again, you can click on it, Define Screen Activities, or directly double click on it. And with the preview, I can see all elements that are identified. So all other status on the left and all other reference on the left and all other status on the right. So the first activity that I want to use is the start activity, because I assume that my page is not opened. So I need to start this page. To do this, we have several applications, and for web page application, we have this start web page activity. So I can drag it, and this time I will not drop it here. I will drop it in the preview, on the preview. You just need to be careful that you need to drop the activity on an empty part. When I say an empty part, I mean not an element which has been declared. For example, here, if I try to drop my start web page on an element, you see, I have this forbidden icon. And when I move a little bit, I don't have it. It's normal because actually, when we drop an activity on an element, we are saying that we want this activity on this element. But an element can't use the start web page activity. It's the page itself. It's why I can drop the activity wherever I want, a part of these elements, of course. So let's drop it. If I click on it, so I can see that it has been added automatically inside this home screen box. And when I click on it, I can see the targets which has been automatically set. If I drop the activity directly on my workflow here, okay, it's set also automatically because I think it detected that I'm inside this home screen. Wait. Here I have several input parameters. No parameter is mandatory, but I can use them if needed. So for example, the URL. By default, the start web page activity use the URL that has been captured. But sometimes I need to change the URL. Can be a use case. For today, it's not necessary. The second parameter is also useful, is to change the navigator, the browser, which is used to open the web page. So if I click on the field, I can see 4 navigators. And by default is Internet Explorer. So if I keep this navigator field empty, it's Internet Explorer, which is used. But actually, I want to use Chrome, so I can select Chrome. Okay, so now I have an activity to start my web page. The second activity to add, so here we have, I close the panel. I have my screen activities. And now the second activity I want to add is the wait activity. So from here, I have screen, wait, screen. So I can use it and drop it on the middle of my preview. So the wait screen activity is very useful to be sure that the page is loaded before you interact with elements. For example, without this wait screen, the bot will start web page and then automatically it will try to retrieve this order reference. But in fact, the page is not loaded, is not fully loaded. So it's why I need to use this wait screen. Okay, so I can close this one. And here I will need to retrieve all informations. So to do this, I can search for the get activity. So by typing get, I have a lot of activities: get page URL, get rectangle, get username, and so on. Actually, I just want to use the get element activity. And this activity is used to retrieve a text on an application. So for example, here, if I drag the get element activity and drop it on the shipped elements, it will retrieve the shipped element. Now I just want to retrieve my order reference. So I can drag the get elements and drop it on the elements. You see the same system of icons, so I can't get an element without a target. And by just dropping on the right element, if I drop it, I have this particular icon. And here, now, I see that 2 activities have been added to my workflow. And in fact, it's normal because I use a get elements activity on a collection. So to retrieve all these informations, a loop, a for each loop is automatically created. The looping list is the collection. The loop contains 2 parameters: the current member, which is basically the text order 7991, order 7918, etc., etc. And I have the index of my loop. And if I click on the get, I can see that the target of the get is the current member. So the get is not done directly on the list, but a for each loop is created, and then the get is done on each element of the loop. Great. Now I want to set the values, the value that I retrieve here inside my Excel file. So here, if I close this and if I search set values, you will not find any activity. And it's normal, in fact, because I'm still in a screen preview. And it's not good because set values is not related to a screen, but it's related to the Excel activity, Excel library, sorry. So I just need to close this preview. I need to be outside this screen to be able to add other activities. And to hide this preview, I can click on an empty part of the canvas. And as soon as I did it, we can see that the set values activity is now the activity, is now in the activities panel. So I can drag it and drop it under the get elements. We just need to be careful here because, for example, the set values, I need to put it inside the for each and not outside. You see, here I'm inside. If I scroll a little bit down, I'm outside. Here I want to be inside because at each iteration of my loop, I want to insert the value. So here, red corner, same system. I will just rename this set order reference in Excel, for example. The values to set, it's very simple. It's the text retrieved by these elements. So if I click on the values fields, I have several options here. So I can set true, false. I can keep it empty. Of course, I can also put whatever. But here, in fact, we want the variable from the step 10. Because here, the step 10, we do a get. So of course, we have output parameters with the order reference. So here, basically, I can rename here to order reference. Okay. So when I get it, this activity has the output parameters called order reference. And here, when I set the values in Excel, the values is the order reference. So I can click on the variable. And here I need to set a range definition. But the range definition will depend on the index of this for each, because basically I don't want to write on the same line, sorry, so on the 1 line, for example, and I want to move like this. So I can't put, for example, A5, otherwise all elements will be overwritten. So here I will have, for example, order 1 and then order 2, etc., instead of a list. So what I need to do is just to create a variable, and this variable will be used as the number of the line in my Excel file. So to do this, I have, if I close the for each, if I remove the set values, okay, I can hide screen activities. Okay, so to create variable, we can expand the data menu, and we have here some data which can be used. So for example, here, because we want to generate a dynamic line number, I can use a number variable. So if I drag it and drop it in my workflow, it will create a new variable. Here, I put it between the get element and the set order reference, because in fact, I need the index of my loop to know the line where I need to write the value retrieved. So here, if I click on the create number variable, I can see that I can create a list by just ticking this option, but I don't want a list. I want a real number. I mean, a variable with only one number, not an array of numbers. And the value will be the index, the actual index of the loop, plus 3. Why the plus 3? Because the index starts at 0 and our Excel starts at 1. So for example, if we use only the index, the first cell will be A0. It doesn't exist, so the bot will crash. So here, basically, we need to do step index plus 3, because we don't want to start on the first line. We don't want to start on our second lines because they contain our headers. We want to start on the third lines. So here, if I go back on the Cloud Studio, if I click on create number variable, I can open the expression editor. I can expand the variables menu. And here, from the step 9, so the step 9 here, I can see in the background that it's the for each. I have this index parameter. So I can click on it. So first time it will be 0, and we compute it with 3. So that's the first line, the first iteration, it will be directly 3, then 4, then 5, 6, etc., etc. So it's great. I can save my expression and it's done. I have a new variable and its value is the index of my loop plus 3. Here, I created this variable just to use the range definition. So now I need to use this range definition. So the range definition will be now a little bit more complicated, if I can say, because I want to have dynamic values to move line by line. So the column will be always A, the first one. And now I need to put a number. So I can put a number, fixed number like this. So I will just concatenate this string with the results of the step 11. And the step 11 has this my variable output parameter. So this variable is just a number. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So that I'm able to have a dynamic set values activity. Can click on save expression. And here everything is correct. I don't have any error in my console, so I can click on save. Okay, so now what we have done, we have just retrieved all information from here. And one by one, we put the order reference line by line. So 6189, etc. So now we need to have the order status in the same way. So we need to have the corresponding order status. Let's do this. Basically, I can keep it like this. So now we have all order reference. I can open my home screen. So by double clicking on it or by click on define screen activities. And now I will do the same thing for the order status. So here on the right, I can search for the get elements. I have my get elements, it's perfect, so I can drag it and I can't drop it on the page because we need an element, and this element this time is the status. So here it's a collection, so I can decide to drop it wherever I want. And once it's done, I also have this for each loop with the get elements. Yeah, you see here, I didn't rename my activity. So I have here get elements, get element 2. And when we have 10, 20 get elements, we don't remember which activity retrieve which elements, etc., etc. So here I will rename it to get order reference. And the second one will be the get order status. Okay. What we need to do then? We need to set this order status inside our Excel file. So if you remember, if I look for the set values, the activity doesn't exist because because we are inside the screen. To go outside the screen, we can click on an empty part of the canvas and we retrieve the set values activity. By drag and dropping this activity, we can add it to our workflow, to our automation. Just be careful, same thing, we need the set values inside the for each loop and not outside like this. Okay, so here it's inside my for each loop. So here the get order has an output parameters, which is the order status. And on the set values, the value I want to set inside my Excel file is the order status from the step 14. Here, I also need the range definition, but it's the same issue. I can't put a fixed number of rows. So I will need to create a variable. So to do this, I can go to data section. I see number here, I can drag it and drop it between my two activities. Okay, here I made the same mistake. Create number variable for reference, for example, and here it will be a variable for status. Okay, what will be the value of this variable? It's very simple. In fact, if I open the expression editor, I can expand the variables, and I need to use the index of my loop, which is the step 13. So I can click on it. And basically, the index, it's the same story. The index starts at 0, but on our Excel file, we can't start at 0. We need to start at 3. So we can compute this index with 3. I can click on test button, and here I have some red, which tells me that everything is good. For example, here, if I click on test, something went wrong, so it's in red. I just need to remove it, and I can test again. Now I have the green. Sorry, I have the green rectangle. Let's save this expression. So now I have a new variable with my index computed with 3. And I can update these set values. So just update this. So here it's not set values, but set order status in Excel. So the range definition now. The range definition will be pretty the same as the previous one. We just need to be careful that we start on column B and not column A. Let's put B. And we concatenate this later by our variable that we created on step 15. The variable that we created. So that this variable will be 3, 4, 5, 6. So the set will be done on cells B3, B4, B5, etc. I can save my expression. Everything seems to be okay. Okay. Now we have retrieved all order reference. So the first one, I think, is in time. Maybe here it was urgent or something like this. So here I have my two lists. I just need to format these values, because when it's in time, I want this value to be in green. When it's too late, I want this value to be in red, etc., etc. So to do this, I need to check if it's too late, if it's in time, if it's whatever value it is. So to do this, I need to use a condition. So on the right panel, I can search for the condition activity. And in controls, I see that we have a condition activity. So I can drag the condition activity. And we need to set it just under the set order status in Excel. And we need to put it inside our for each, because when we retrieve the order status, we want to check directly if this order status is in time, too late, and change the color according to this condition. So I can drop it inside my for each loop. So I can see that now my for each is quite big, and I have now a condition. So same thing here. I have the red corner, so I know that I need to put some parameters. So I click on the condition activity. And yes, in fact, I have a condition expression to fill. And here it will be quite simple. I just need to click on the three dots here and click on Edit Formula. So what will be the first condition? The first condition is just to check the order status. And where is the order status? The order status, if we open in variables, we can retrieve it from the step 14. Right, I will use it. The condition now will be if this order status is equal to in time, the first value. If I open my application, I can see that the first value is in time. So I'm just checking if we retrieve order status, which is in time. So I can save the expression. And if it's the case, I will format the color of the order status. So I can close here the panel. I can remove the condition here in the search field. And I will search for the format activities, which comes from Excel. And here I can see the format font color. So I can drag it, I can drop it. I just need to be careful, you see. Here I'm on different branches. So here I just want to set the color when it's in time. So I can drop it on the first branch. And here I can see that the format font color activity has several parameters. So I can fill them. So we have the range definition and the color to apply. The range definition. The range definition will be exactly the same as the one here, because we set in Excel and then we want to format this string to set it a color. So the range definition, I can basically open the expression editor, select all the string and copy it. So when it's in time, I want to set the color for the same cell. I set the expression and the color to apply. Okay, so when it's in time, it's in green. So I can choose green. I can save my project. If I open my application, so in time is done. I can see urgent in orange and too late on red, in red. So I know that I need to handle two more cases. I handled the in-time case. Now I will handle the urgent and the too late cases. So on the condition, I can click again on it. And here I have only one condition expression. I can add a new condition by adding on this button so that I can put whatever I want. By clicking on these three dots, I can delete the condition. And for now, I will just duplicate this expression 2 times. So duplicate conditions. So we have a second condition for urgent status. I duplicate it again for too late status. I just need to modify here. I will just open the formula. So here it's not in time, but urgent. I can save the expression. And the last one, it's not in time nor urgent, it's too late. So we are now handling all information. So in time, urgent, and too late. By duplicate my conditions, I can see that the Cloud Studio duplicates also the activities inside these branches. So here, format font color in green for the in time. For the urgent, format font color in orange. And here, I just need to change the color to apply. The range definition will be always the same, but the color to apply, I can select orange, perfect. And for the too late, I just modify format font color in red. And the color to apply is not green nor orange, it's now red. And that's it. I can save my application. And now what we have. So with this second for each loop, we fill all other status. And in the meantime, we also format the color of the status. So here, for example, urgent, it will be orange. So it's why we use the condition right after and inside our loop to change this color. And I think we are almost done. We retrieved our order reference. We retrieved our order status. Now we are good. We just need to add other activities. So if I go back to the Cloud Studio, I started my web page, but I don't need it anymore. Once I retrieved all information, I want to close this application. So to do this, I can double click on the home screen box here. It will open the preview. And on the preview, on the right, I can filter, I can search for the close activity. And I can see that we have a closed screen activity. So I can drag it and drop it on the middle of my preview. And automatically at the bottom, I have this closed screen activity. Great, the application is closed. So we don't need to do more activities on this page. So I can basically close it, close the preview. Okay, what we have now? We open the Excel instance, we put some headers, we open the web page, we retrieve information, and in the meantime, we set all information inside our Excel file. So now, once we have put all information inside the Excel, we need to save our Excel file. To do this, same thing, we have save activity. So we have save workbook or save as workbook. Here we will use save as workbook because in fact our file is not existing. I mean, we didn't open a new, an existing file, we created a new one. So for now, it has been stored. It has not been stored. It has not been saved. So we can use the save as workbook. And here we are not inside the screen anymore because we have this closed screen. So I need to put it below the screen box. For more ease, I can also hide like this. Okay, I will just keep it hidden. Okay, here I can see red corners, so some parameters are missing. And it's normal because I do a save as, I need to specify the file path. You can put whatever you want. On my side, I will put the C drive, then the data folder, and then orders.xls6 file. And here I have the string. I can click on it to validate, and I don't have the red corner anymore. I can close this save as workbook, and here I need to close the Excel instance. If you remember well, we opened it at the beginning. Now we need to close it. And in fact, we have several options. We have the close Excel instance, which actually close the Excel file like this. But we have also the release Excel instance. And the difference is that the workbook is not closed. So basically, we want this activity because, for example, we need to verify if we had the Excel file filled, etc., etc. Otherwise, it will close automatically, and you will need to open it, etc., etc. So for now, I will use the release Excel instance. Great, I can save my automation. And we have finished with our workflow. So we have all steps, and with 23 steps, we are able to retrieve our information and set them inside an Excel file. Okay, let's test our automation. To do this, I will close this one. Do you want to save? No. And I need to be sure. Yep, that's my application is closed. You can keep the application open. In fact, here just for the demonstration, so that you will be able to see that the bot opens the page, etc., etc. Okay, we are good. I can click on the test button. Same thing, I need to select an environment. And then I can click on the test button. So same thing, a package is created from our project. It's downloaded after that by our agents. And once it will be downloaded, the automation will start. Okay, so I can see that my agent is restarting, and let's go. So we open a new Excel instance. We open a new workbook. Headers have been set. The application is opened, and here we can see our loops. Behind the application has been killed. And here we can see that our Excel file has been automatically filled. So with our headers, all order reference and their corresponding status. I can close it. You can see that I didn't have the pop-up, do you want to save? Because in fact, the bot has already saved it. So if I open my Windows Explorer, if I go to C drive, data, and orders, if I open it, I can see the same file. So that's it. Once it's done, you can deploy. Do you want to save? Okay, let me go back here. So here I can see the test console, 0. So 0 errors, 0 warnings, everything went well. And in the timeline, I can see this green mark, which tells me, okay, it's good. I executed all steps. So everything works correctly, but it's not always the case. I mean, sometimes you will have some bugs. You will need to find why you have this issue. And this timeline will be very helpful to find what is wrong with your project. So for example, here I can see all activities that have been set, that have been done. So here in the loop, I can see that there are several create number variable, etc., etc. And by clicking on one of the items, so for example, the set order references in Excel, on the right, I can see the tester data. So at this point of the automation of the workflow, the set order reference in Excel had these input parameters. So the range definition set to A5, the values set to order 7375. But if I scroll down, for example, here, I click on this set order references in Excel, I can see that now it's A7 with a different order number, etc., etc. So it can be very useful. So for example, if you see that nothing is filled inside your Excel file, you can click on it and probably you will see that values is in fact null, or at least not correctly set. So you can use this timeline, and when you have an issue, you will have a red mark next to the activity which failed. Right. Okay, so now my bot is working well. What can I do is to deploy my package, because of course users will not open this Cloud Studio, click on test, etc., etc. And to deploy our package, we have several triggers. So triggers are used to start our automation. So we have three types of triggers. API trigger, which lets you run your automation using an API endpoint. So for example, if you have dedicated application, you can create a button which triggers the API trigger. And so that's the automation will start. We have the attended trigger. So with the attended trigger, the user needs to launch his agents and then launch the automation. And we have the scheduled trigger, which is an automated run of executions. I mean, if you create a scheduled trigger, you define some time, some days of availability, and then, for example, each hour between from Monday to Friday, each 1 hour, the bot will be executed automatically. So to create an attended trigger, you just need to create a project pane. So if I open this, I can click on the create button and then on project pane. I just need to give it a name. Let's call it my project pane. I click on the create button. With this button, I can hide the timeline, because in fact here I don't need it anymore. I can reopen it doing this. So this is the project pane, and this is the view of my agent. So when I open my agent on my desktop, I can see this view. And here I can see that I don't have any automation. So on the right, I can see all automations available inside my project. For now, we only have one automation. So it's very simple. I can drag it and drop it on the middle. So next time the user will use your package, he will click on the desktop agent and he will see this start collect orders label. I can save it. And that's it. My project is ready. I can close this one. I can close this one also and close this one also. And I have the Home tab of the Cloud Studio. And from the Home tab, I have this Generate Package button. The generate package button can be used only if you don't have error on the console. So here it's the case, so I can click directly on the generate package. I need to give a name to my package. Orders management, it's good actually. So I can click on generate package. Okay, once it's done, I can go back to my Cloud Factory. Yes. Okay. And in packages, I will retrieve all my packages. So I can filter here. It's called orders management. So orders management from the project orders management. So this one, but to retrieve information about orders is the description we put. Perfect, my package is here. Now, where I need to deploy my package. I need to deploy it inside my environment. So I will go to my environment. And here in packages, I can click on add package. That was too quick. So I have the add package here and click on it. Here, I need to select the package. So here it's orders, preview and deployed. Perfect. I will deploy it inside this environment. So I select it and I click on next. And it's done. The package is deployed inside my environments. So all agents added here will be able to use the orders management package. But before using it, we need to add some triggers to it. So next to the orders management, we have 3 dots. I can click on it and then add trigger. Here, this is all triggers that we have. So I explained previously the API attended scheduled. So here, for example, for the scheduled, I can click on OK. The name of my trigger is my trigger for orders, for example, I don't know. I need to select the automation I want to execute. So here it's very simple. I have only one automation. The priority, set it to high. And here are the parameters of the trigger. So it's from, I don't know, from last Sunday until the end of the month. The end of May, the time zone, the recurrence. Do I need my bots be run each 5 minutes? I don't think so. So maybe I need to put 1 hour. So every 59 minutes. So it's every 1 hour. The jobs expire after. So this indicates when we set the jobs as expired. So the job, when this trigger is executed, if there is no agent available, the job will be stacked and it will wait for an agent. But sometimes the agent is not available during a long period of time. And by default, after 1 hour, the job is canceled and set as expired. But you can change here if needed. A new job will be added no matter what happens. So it means that even if you have some jobs stacked, a new job will be created, etc., etc. And here I can basically select also the availability of my automation. So for example, I want to execute this automation every hour only on Wednesday. And then I can click on create button. And here on triggers, I can see that the next execution is planned for the next Wednesday. So it will be the 5th of May at midnight. And that's it. If I want to test it, I can also click on these three dots and on run now. If I do this, I can go back to monitoring, jobs, and I can see that I have a collect orders, which is ready. And yeah, I don't have my agent opened, sorry. Yeah, in fact, my agent is on the other screen, so you will not see it. So I will try to explain with this view. Okay, so now my agent is ready. Yeah, you see here, now it's in red because if I click on it, it says that my job cannot be distributed. Okay, sorry. And now it has been distributed. Okay, so we see the Excel file is closed and the execution is finished. So if I go back, oh yeah, sorry, it's the first tab. So sorry, yeah, it was with this error because I didn't have any agents, unattended agent available. And as soon as I started mine, you saw that the job has been executed, and if I refresh it, it's set as successful. All right, that's it for the presentation, for the demonstration. I tried to explain everything, I mean, to show you each options that I used. But if you have some questions right now, you can raise your hand or ask in the Q&A box if you have some questions. And I see that we have already 5 questions. So first, the question, whenever we select few UI controls are given, elements cannot be uniquely identified. In this scenario, what kind of process we need to follow? Okay, maybe it will be better if you can read in the meantime. So if I selected ID or class in the captured array, and it's given message as elements uniquely identified. What is the best practice to rectify this kind of issues? Okay, it depends. You see here, we had previously the element cannot be uniquely identified. But in fact, it's normal because several elements have this same class. So you can, it's not a big issue. You can click on the declare element at the bottom, and then you need to set it as a collection. And now it's good. But sometimes you don't want a collection. I mean, you want this particular element. What's to do? You just need to check some, to use some unique criteria. It's the only way. Sometimes I agree that some data are not unique at all. For this, we have several options. So for example, here, if I want to declare this element, so here the ID is unique, but let's try to remove the ID. Let's try with the text contains. I will remove, but I don't know if it's okay. Here I'm looking for a div which contains order, but in fact there are a lot of div which contains order, and the ID is not unique. The class is not unique. What can I do? If you if you open the tree structure, you will see here some patterns. So I want to target the div which has a parent div, which has a parent div, etc., etc. So here I can right-click on the parent div and set and add 2 criteria. And maybe this div has more unique criteria. So let's say that now this div has a unique class. It will not work, okay? But let's imagine that the class here is unique. Your element will be uniquely identified. So we have several patterns like this that can be used in order to identify correctly our elements. Basically here, if you have a red cross next to this icon, your elements will not be recognized during the runtime. Okay, next question I see in the chat because I lost the Q&A. It's here. Okay, quick questions in the chat. Which trigger needs to be selected if this automation has to be run as a backend job? I think you need to use a scheduled trigger so that in the background, each day at midnight, for example, your automation will be run. Okay, so next question, element uniquely identifies. So answer live. Do we have any option when we run the bots, mouse cursor move and open the app, like as whenever you move the mouse or the cursor working like that? I'm not sure that I understood the question. You want to move your mouse on the icon of an application and then double click like you did manually. It's not possible because you will have to capture your desktop, which is not possible. However, moving your mouse is possible on the application. For example, here, if I need to click on an order, sorry, I will try to, no, I closed it, but if you need to click on the order here, we have two types of clicks. The normal click, if I can say, and the mouse click. So with the mouse click, you will see your cursor moving on the element and then doing the click. So it's possible for elements, but to launch application, it's more difficult. Okay, next question. If a question mark is available, what does it mean? How can we solve that issue? So if I remember well, this question has been asked during the use of the application tester. And I will try to launch it again. Just to show you. I hope it will not be long. Okay, great. So sometimes you will have this question mark next to the application. So like I said, it's because the application is not recognized. So here, why my application is not recognized? Because it's not opened. I mean, if now I open the application, and if I open back the application tester, now the question mark has disappeared. But sometimes you will still have the question mark. It's because you didn't set correct criteria. So just as a reminder, criteria for page and for application must be set correctly. In general, for application, we use the domain, and for the home screen, we use the URL. Not for the home screen, but for pages, for screens. Great. Next question, how we can wait the screen for 2 minutes. I added some number on the delay parameters, but it's not working. Yes. Let me open my automation. If I need here, so here, it's an optional delay to wait before calling the callback. So it's not necessarily what you want to do, because here, as soon as the screen is detected, you will execute the rest of the automation, for example, 2 seconds later. If you want to wait, I mean, you know that the screen takes 10 minutes to be fully loaded. It's better to use a normal wait activity and set here the delay and put 10 minutes because because the wait screen doesn't have a timeout field here. So it's better to use a wait like this. Okay, how to add multiple desktop agents. It depends on what you want to do. If I go back to my Cloud Factory, on my side, I created an agent group called BSA, and you see there is this 3 number next to my nodes. It's just tell me that there are 3 registered agents because, for example, I have 3 computers. So it's very simple. The best thing to do, I think, is to create an agent group like this to have like a hierarchy, a proper hierarchy. And here in agents, if I look for my login, I can see I have 3 different machines, and it's not a big issue with all different versions, right? So yeah, how to add multiple desktop agents? Simply by create your agent groups. Do we have an opportunity to write custom code in SAP RPA 2.0? Of course. We can search for the custom activity, and we have these custom scripts. So for those who used the Desktop Studio, we can't anymore put some code inside each step, but we still have this custom activity when you can put your JavaScript and you can put whatever you want. You can also have access to all dependency. So if I want to log, etc., etc. But we recommend to use all activities as soon as it's available. I mean, I can, using the code, format the color. I can create my variable. I can retrieve. I can do whatever I want with the custom script. But we always recommend to use activities as soon as it's available. Okay, I see we have a lot of questions. So I've done. For more questions, I try to be quick. Can the present automation be run as a backend job? If yes, using which trigger? I think I already answered to this question, but yes, we can do it using the schedule trigger, but if you also need to trigger this job using an API call, it's also possible. To be honest, it depends of your use case. With the question you ask, I can't be more accurate. It can be both scheduled or triggers. How SAP RPA 2.0 work with SAP GUI? All of activities from Desktop Studio are implemented in SAP RPA 2.0. Yes, if I go in the settings of my application, can I show you like this? I can't, but trust me, we have these activities. Do I have a project? Maybe this one. SAP login. So yeah, here I captured SAP GUI. I captured GUI control grid view, for example, and in my automation. In screens, I can retrieve all activities for grid view. And here in activities, you see that I have dedicated activities so for SAP GUI, for GUI V component, and for the GUI grid view. And all activities, get cell, get visible column, select row, etc., etc. So yes, all of activities from Desktop Studio are implemented. More or less, some activities, to be honest, I'm not sure that everything is here, but for every project I have done with SAP GUI, all activities are present. Post capture the screen. I'm sorry, I didn't understood this one. I will just set as answered. Don't hesitate to put how to say a message or a new question if you need more information. Okay, so if the automation involves mouse interaction with application like form filling, create operation, can the automation be still in background mode using scheduled trigger? Okay, yes, but it depends. I mean, with the Desktop Studio, with the older versions, it wasn't possible to use mouse click and keystroke with unattended bots, or it was possible, but with a lot of limitations. Now we have this mechanism of unlock. So you put your credentials inside. When I say credentials, you put your Windows credentials, so user name of the session and his password. And by doing this, you can automatically unlock the session, do the keystroke of the mouse click, and then automatically lock the screen. So yes, it's possible, but with also some limitations. So for example, if you don't have a mouse connected to the server, to the computer, I'm not sure that it will be possible. But to be honest, you need to do some tests to see what is possible, what is not in your use case. We have only one last question. When individual desktop agents in the desktop agent need to give the URL and login to activate the bot. Okay, I don't understand this question, I'm sorry. When individual desktop agents in the desktop agent need to give the URL and login to activate the bots. I don't. Okay, few things here. If you talked about the registration of the agents, I can 2 minutes. I'm just looking for some slides. Okay, so now you should see the document you had to install the project. So if you are talking about this URL and then the credentials that you need to put when you activate the URL, yes, each individual need to enter the URL here and their credentials, not needed to set inside the environments. And if you are talking about credentials inside environment variable, you can set here some credentials, and then these credentials will be available for all agents here. I hope it answers to your questions. If not, don't hesitate to go back to me via email if needed. Okay, so it's the end of the time. Thanks a lot for your participation. Thanks a lot for your question. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And if needed, you can send me an email with your questions. I wish you all a great end of the day, a great afternoon, or a great morning, depending on where you are. And see you soon. Bye-bye.